Explore your higher consciousness with the Edge Media Platform. We're a multimedia platform dedicated to connecting curious teachers and seekers in a safe, welcoming space. Dive into spiritual growth with our print magazine, digital content, podcasts, and in-person experiences. Whether you're seeking wisdom or sharing it, we're here to inspire and uplift your journey, here, there, and everywhere. Connect with us today. Hey, beautiful ones. It is Kelly Wagner, publisher, Edge Magazine, and we're just popping on today. I have joining me Miss Kim Woods, the new Era trusted authority, and she has a new offering. And we're gonna just be like, whoop, we're coming on, and we're just like, bam, we're here. And Kim, please welcome to the show. Welcome to the Edge. Well,
Thank you.
hello. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of like you're always kind of floating around with the Edge.
Mhm.
What's going on? Like you just birthed. I don't want to say twins, but you just like wait. How many signatures are there? 6. You just had 6 tuplets.
Right? There you
You
go.
just
Yes,
had tuplets,
yes.
right? Okay. So she has a new offering, a new invitation, a just explosion of goodness to share. And I'm going to stop rambling. Kim Woods, welcome to the stage. What is going on?
Yes. So my book, The New Era Millionaire is here. Uncharted Success for the Visionary Rebel. And I have to say that this book, people that have people that have gotten a glimpse of the book, got a sneak peek of the book, already ordered the book, are saying like my head is just because it's just so good, because it's speaking to them. Like that's what it is, right? I can say all the things, and I can say, oh, guess what, I have these great ideas, and this is what's worked for me, and this is what's worked for my clients, and that's great. But yet when something is opening somebody's heart, or it's touching their soul in a way, and they're remembering it, and they're commenting on it, and they're already saying, I just started and I couldn't put it down, that's what is so wonderful right now.
So you've authored a couple books already. Bring us back to what sparked, because you've been talking about this book and it just kind of came in and went like this and this all at the same time. So bring us
Mhm.
back to what inspired you to write this book.
So what I originally wanted to do was, I originally wanted to take what I do with one-on-one clients and I do with my high-level group programs and say, guess what? I want to disseminate this through the world. And people often write books that way, and that's a great approach. But then once I started getting into the energy and into the book itself, the book wanted to be something different. The book said that, sure, like basically the book was patronizing me. Sure, you can do that, but I don't care. The book was like, I want to be so incredibly available, accessible. I want to be telling story. I want to be really there sitting beside someone as they're going through their journey. So this book is completely different from that perspective. And how is it different? Well, if I were to write a book to say, I'm going to demonstrate what I do with my clients, it probably would have been a third, right? It probably would have been a third astrology. Here's what's happening in the stars. Let me take a big, huge forecast outlook. Great. Then it would be your signatures, which I know we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Ms. Bond, right? Like we're going to talk about that. Woo, 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 woo. And that's how your energy is working, in the world, and how you meet your star destiny with your own free will. And I would have talked about that, and then I would have gone into some business strategies. That's what I would have done.
Right.
The universe didn't want that, and the book didn't want that. The universe and the book wanted something that was like this, right? So what I ended up doing was, I ended up creating an entire story arc. Now, it is nonfiction, let me just be perfectly clear, but there's enough imagery there that I have the person in a kind of situation that they're like, yeah, this is really unfamiliar. Yeah, things are really not working the way I want it to. And I really immerse them in that. And then I take them on a journey. So I take them into the yeah, this is what it feels like to be on your knees. You're not really sure what's going on, or you're just at the tipping point of that breakthrough, but you're really wanting the breakthrough. So I let people discover themselves, and then I go through some rebuilding for them, and then I walk them into radiance. So this is a different book because of that.
I'm seeing it in my book's on the way, and I'm seeing it as it's really funny how, like, intuitively I'm seeing that it's almost like bungeed to you as you're reading it and experiencing it. I'm seeing that you need to have Post-it notes. These are my visual,
Right.
and a pen next to it. I'm seeing it earmarked. I'm seeing it just worn and traveled and in and becoming this resource that you're
Mhm.
constantly doing check-ins with. Something that I wanna share with the audience is that, Kim is an astrologer, but that's just one of the hats she wears. I mean, because how she infuses her intuition, human design, business, strategy, just being Kim Woods on the earth is such a beautiful combination. And I listen to and in the world of the edge, I'm surrounded by a bunch of just, different astrologers, and
Yep.
they sum it up in many different ways. Some people act it out, some people are just very literal, but you infuse it in this beautiful, beautiful way, and you have your star map to success, and you have this quiz that I really wanna encourage people. If you haven't taken the quiz, take the quiz. It is such a great way that Kim has, um, assessed and how she can help you with her tools. She has the signatures, and we're going to jump into those in just a moment. But they're really, really good tools. And I'm going to even say, using yesterday as an example, Kim's been talking about the 25th for 6 months. Okay,
Yeah.
more than that, but the 6 month and launch. I woke up yesterday and yes, I worked a 14-hour day, but I had so much motivation. I had so much clarity. I cleaned my desk. I accomplished so much. We got permits from the city going. Like all
Ooh.
things totally happened yesterday. And if I wouldn't have known about the date, I would have been and through you and your tools and your beautiful offerings that you share, I would have sat there and have been like, "Oh, I just had a great day." Oh, no, it was in the stars. It was in the stars yesterday needed to be the way it is. So I
Yeah.
just wanna let anyone know that if you're curious about astrology and you're curious about the people that we have in the edge, they know what they're talking about, so listen.
Yeah, 100%. So there are times that are very fortuitous. There are times that are expansive that, you just said you went about your day, right? Like but it was a really clear day and it was very productive and whatnot. I will tell you the seeds that you planted yesterday are, I can't say everlasting because, that's a misnomer, but I can say are pivotal for you, that like, let's just go along with the seed analogy. Like the seeds you planted are going to grow. They're perennials. They're going to bloom. They're going to be beautifully flowering. They're going to give fruit, and they're going to come back again and again. That's what's different. Like I could say, over the next 3 months, there are these 12 days that are really good. True. Yesterday was the reason why I put the book launch yesterday, because that was I don't want to say a turning point, but it was like, boom, I'm putting the stake in the ground and this is the garden that's blooming right now. And I have no doubt. And it doesn't matter. Like, honestly, the ebook wasn't ready and no one knows why. It's a Kindle fluke. And how many times you know me long enough, Kelly, that this has never happened before. Yes, I heard that. This has never happened before. Yay. And so if I were not so in tuned, I would have said, "Oh no, the book launch is going to be, terrible. I'm going to delay the date. I'm going to do all these things." It was like, absolutely not. I honestly feel the book, she wanted to be in her full format. She wanted to be in this beautiful lush, like the gorgeous coloring, and the designer did a great job. Those that arc I was telling you about are like these
Mhm.
beautiful pages within, She was like, "No, no, 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 no. I'm not going to be gray. I'm not going to be gray on somebody's Kindle. Not doing it." And I was like, "Yeah, because she wants to sit beside you. She wants you to be all dog-eared. She wants you to be all
Mhm.
just feeling her and just writing in her and putting your post-its in her. She wants to be on the earth." Yeah.
Your cover, show the cover again, please, because
I know,
I
isn't this
get it,
beautiful?
it's like an activation. It's not
Uh-huh.
just an invitation, but it's just like, "Bam, let's go." And you're gonna get a lot of curiosity with that cover, and you might even get some people who are like, "I'm not ready." Like, "I'm not ready," and
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
okay.
fair.
Maybe but because it's in hard copy, it's forever.
Yeah,
It's forever.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And honestly too, what I'm saying is that the book itself has its own energy. It has its own activation. That You just touched on that, Kelly. The book, the entire time, I mean, she has a name. She has like my book, strategist Amy Colette and we like sat at her altar. We asked her
Mm,
questions like, well, how do you want to be? Do you want this in? Do you want this out? What have you? Because she has been a fully, kind of living, enlivened being, that even when I was, because writing a book, for those of you who've written books, that it is an act of transformation. When you write something that is near and dear to your heart, it is a soul. It's like you're pouring your soul into a body of work that's going to live separate from you. And because this book can go off and be in the world without me.
mhm.
That's what's different than it's a program or it's a podcast or whatever. There's an attachment there. They're like children. This book, full on adult, can go be in Europe, can go be in Australia, can go be anywhere, and people can do their own interpretation of it, and it can live like within their being in the way that they want it to. That's what's different with a book. So for me, this is my ninth body of work in this way. It's my ninth book. I have written some really beautiful things, like
Mhm.
some really beautiful things. I haven't written anything that comes close to this at all.
So you say that the book will meet you at the moment you say there has to be another way, and it will walk you through it. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so this is where I'm getting chills.
I
That's
know.
why I wanted this book to be an invitation for people, because that what I say when somebody comes in and says, "Oh, gee, I'd really want to work with you," I I don't patronize, but I semi congratulate, because they've already started their transmutation, right? So even on that first call, even when they scheduled the first call with me, right? I didn't want the book to be like that. I wanted the book to be that if somebody wanted it to be that, but I wanted the book to be like holding your hand and saying, "I got you. I got you. Don't worry about it. You got this." I also wanted the book to be this really sweet walk. It's like walking with you. If you want to run and go super fast and leap over tall buildings in a single bound, you can do it. But if you want to be like, you know what, I just want to sit here for a few minutes and I just want to ponder and savor. And I just want to be immersed, even if it's in the breakdown, like even if it's in that stage, like, yeah, you're not alone. The book really reminds you you're not alone. Like, I have 88 stories in this book, Kelly. It's a 300-page book. I have 88 stories in the book. Now, from a formula perspective, it's usually around 40, maybe 50. But every time I went into the book was like, I need another story right here. We
Yeah.
need another example right here. Someone else needs to come in. So luckily for me, I have hundreds of stories and I have hundreds of testimony for people. I did change people's names because, again, I wanted it to be about the reader and not about look at all these amazing people and all these amazing clients, even though that's true.
Right.
Sometimes you can do that and you'll be like, you're naming the people and you're giving them honor, which is beautiful. This was like, I want to honor you. I want you to remember you as you're reading this book.
Well, you can also tap into the story. So the name doesn't matter at all. It's the experience, it's the frequency. And that's what I'm seeing is that those 88 stories they're little mini invitations where people can see themselves wherever they want to be within those stories.
Exactly. Exactly. 100%. So out of the 300 pages, there's only 30 pages of astrology, which that was not something I anticipated, right? Because I anticipated, well, people want to know, it's the new era. They want to know like what's going to happen. They want to, I mean, and I projected 20 years. I did. I wanted the book to live for as long as I wanted to live. It's like
Yeah.
20 years felt like a really good, like set of time. And it was like, just story. So of course I've got, Neptune as the van dweller, and I've got Saturn as the hall monitor and whatnot. And so I did it through story that way. I did it
I
like
love how you make the planets. Like, so we're gonna put a connection Kim gave a very generous activation to the community yesterday with the book launch, and I was watching it. I wasn't able to be a part of it live, but I watched it later, and I'm giggling, and I've like I love how you I just like I love how you just discuss the planets and their interaction and what they do with us because I just get it. It's like, oh yeah, that is the hall monitor. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that happens when they show up. Okay, like, right? So it's just, "Oh, the moon and the sun. Oh, hello, friends." Like, so it
Right.
just I just love how you do that. Um, I wanna shift gears to a little bit before we start talking, about the signatures is we just jumped right into the new era. Let's discuss the new era to people because it is very important to have a tool like this book in the new era. So, talk to us about where we're at right now energetically and why this book is so important in this because it is a new way of looking at things. We have been wearing um, the divine masculine and feminine inside out. There's been a lot going on, and it's time to just and honor and grab the tools and grab the tribe. I think people are seeing friends and acquaintances come and go. I think
Mhm.
they're feeling differently. They're looking at the world differently. They're looking at money differently. They're looking at relationships and success and all of these things different. So let's give a little moment to what is the new era, Kim?
Yeah. So the new era is what I termed it, and people are now catching on, right? Like they're now starting to say. So I think we would have called it the new world, the new age, the new earth, a handful of years ago, even a few decades ago, right? So for those of us who do prophecy, those of us who oracles, which I know in your world there are a lot, along with the curiosity seekers, right? So with that, you could see it or feel it or sense it coming, and I always say it's one thing to know, it's another thing to live, right? And then
Mm,
it's another thing to live and another thing to lead and succeed, right? So as you were, okay, I'm knowing this, okay, great, it's going to be different. Oh yes, pandemics kind of was the with the before and after, facets of the world. It's like one door closes, another one opens. And now it's like, okay, am I finding my footing? Do I know what my footing is? Or are things just continuing to collapse? So when we look at the stress and the exhaustion and the lack, excuse me, trends and statistics, we can see like, wait a minute, what we used to know and what the tools we used to grab no longer work. The good news for people in your community is the intuition is coming forth, energetics are coming forth. I keep telling people that, astrology, because that's my lane, astrology is going to be as mainstream now or in the future as massage and yoga are now. So
mhm.
you think 30 years ago, people would be like, oh, you're doing yoga? Oh, you're doing massage? Oh, you're doing people are like, oh, you're doing astrology? Oh, you're doing energy healing? Oh, you're doing that woo woo stuff? It's not going to be woo woo anymore. That's going to be part of the foundation. So I just spent the week last week with billionaires and celebrities. I was in a room, two different rooms. They each had 50 people in it, talking to them peer to peer. And there could have been a hesitancy for me to just kind of dim that intuitive light, to not talk about the astrology piece, because I can play all day long in the business. I can do that, right? That could have happened. I absolutely did not. I had so many people leaning in. I had so many people being curious. I had so many people asking me like, well, what does that look like? What would that mean? How would that help? If I had done this 5 years ago, they wouldn't have been asking those questions. They
Mm-mm.
wouldn't have been as ready. So this new era, people are ready to recognize that the intuition, that the soul, that the heart are in the driver's seat. Now, whether they're operating that way is a whole different thing. Hence the book, hence the podcast, because finding your way to find your footing is not easy because it's all unknown. We have never done this before.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I love to hear the rooms that you were in last week because if our leaders are curious and they're open-minded and they're embracing and they're leaning in, even if it's just to start personally and then expand
Mhm.
professionally, that is going to help mainstream a lot of these tools that we're bringing forward. So you mentioned finding it, getting your footing is I would say it's not the first step because it's the acceptance and the saying yes is the first step. The next step is a hard one, it's finding your footing,
Yeah.
and that's why you have your success signatures. Let's talk about your success signatures, and even in honoring the story, you even gave them their own little celebrities.
I
Let's
did,
let's
I
talk about
did.
this.
So I must have been stirring that energy as I was getting ready to be in those rooms, right? I love how the universe works. So what I did, a handful of years ago as I was wondering how to bring business strategy, leadership coaching, and astrology reading and intuitive healing together. That's how this was born, right? I'm like, how do I bring that to the world? Okay, I could figure out one on one, but then that doesn't bring it to the world, maybe, right? It might, but it doesn't. How can I bring it out into the world? Okay. So that's when these success signatures, downloaded for me, and they're based on how you know, like, and trust yourself. Because think about it, you can, if you want to be, doing business with somebody, or somebody wants to do business with you, you can say, oh, they need to know, like, and trust me. If you've been in the business world for any amount of time, you've heard that, especially in marketing and sales. But that's not really what it is. It's like when you know, like, and trust yourself, that's when you're going in the right direction. That's when you're in the right rooms and talking to the right people. And that's when you're relying on the right resources. You're not buying somebody else's formula that doesn't go with you. You're not following out somebody's person's advice that they may not have your best interests at heart, and you're not dimming down and undervaluing your offerings, because that happens a lot. These are the things that
Right.
are very common. So that was one facet of it. The other facet of it was, so many people ask me, how do I develop my intuition? How do I
Mm.
know when it's my intuition? And people in your world probably get that question a lot, right? So that was another thing. It's like, I can't take these high performing athletes, these celebrities, these billionaires, these people that are very much on the leading edge, and say, go sit in the corner and meditate for 20 minutes every day. It's not
Nope.
going to work. It can work, but it's not going to work at the outset. And so I was looking, and this was probably like a year or two long study, before we got to the pandemic time, about what could it look like? And I came up with like an activity pack, and I was like, oh, and I started to find trends with people that were in their mind. These are the things that work. People that were really like about connection and who I know. This is what really works. People that are either stumped and paralyzed or take too much action and overactive. These are the tools that worked. And so what was born with these signatures that came through that said, the way you enter the world, how you make decisions, how you respond to react, like how you deal with stress, all these things. I'm like, huh. So I came up with these 6 signatures, and yes, they were downloaded. Yes, they are based on astrology, kind of. They're more based on the chakra system, I'll be honest with you. And I didn't know human design at all at this point. Like, I didn't even know those 2 words were together. So what the reason is, because as you are dealing with daily life, family life, business life, and the spiritual life here on earth, gee, wouldn't it be great to have a guidebook? Wouldn't it be great to have some sort of ability to make an assessment without having to look at your stars, or think about what your Enneagram is and try to interpret it yourself, right? Yeah, that's why these were born. And so they're very much living, breathing. It is your star map to success.com. It's 12 questions. Over 22,000 people have taken it. So it's legit. I did massive testing before I went out to the world. So that's probably more number. I did it with like 300 people before I said, yes, let's start doing something with this. It's been written up in magazines. I've won awards for it. I mean, it's legit, right? So the book is mostly based on the signatures, because I wanted the book to be based on you. And so for you, Kelly, you are a loving alchemist. And for me, I am an intuitive visionary. So we represent 2 out of the 6. So when you heard about your movie character yesterday, how did you feel?
I Voxered you very quickly, and I
I
was just like,
know.
"Damn!"
I know.
I heard, like, Cher from Clueless, and I was kinda connected, but then when you said that, and I was like, "Okay."
Yeah,
Because mine is James Bond, which is really interesting when I really started to unpack it, because it's the other ones have been just a role played by one person.
I
But
know. I
James
know.
Bond is is the Enterprise 50 years old, 60 years
It's,
old?
yeah,
I
50 or
mean,
60. Yeah.
I remember my grandfather watching Sean Connery and the old James Bond, and and James Bond, and then you and I both have a favorite James Bond in Pierce Brosnan, which, by the
Yeah.
way, like, hello, Pierce, I hope you're watching. Like, he can even come back, like, bring
Yeah,
him
I
on,
know,
like,
I
right?
know.
Daniel Craig's rocking it, but, like, and
Yeah,
there's all these different, but it's a character that is taken on a brand, and I mean, think about the people that it's employed. I don't know why I'm going in the business point of it, but
perfect.
the cars they get to drive and the suits they get to wear and the women that they get to be with and this and that. Like, it is such a complex character, and I just was like, okay, here we go. So
Hel
let's talk about some of the oh, I'm sorry, before I
No, I was
jump.
gonna say, "Hello, loving alchemist." You just described the loving alchemist.
Yes, like,
Loving this power is so incredibly impactful, is so incredibly deep, but you hold yourselves in reserve because you've been conditioned to, or because it's safer, or because that's your personality, which is fine, right? I was explaining to you in Voxer, like, how these characters would come, and I would sit with them, and I would say, "Is it really that?" Like, because I have gone through, I mean, I have 53 pages of, like, a table that is the Intuitive Success Signature Bible that goes through every single aspect of them. It's been 5 or 6 years in the making at this point. So
right.
I don't take this lightly. I test this out every single time. I say, hey, what about leadership? Hey, what about sales? Hey, what about the movie characters? I'm like, let me see all the people, the hundreds of people I know of each thing. Does it fit? Does it not fit? How does it fit? How does it not fit? And I did with each one. And honestly, I questioned the James Bond one because for that reason. So for a wise strategist, it was Kathleen Kelly from You've Got Mail, right? Because she's so knowing and she's the expert and people go to her. She didn't really like change, but once she embraced the change and once she found the truth of herself and the fact that she had her own voice, hello, Kathleen Kelly, right?
Yeah.
Hello, my strategist. For me, it's Elle from Legally Blonde for the intuitive visionary. We just know things and we can jump to something and then we prove it and then people can jump on it. But that's the process. We jump to things and then we have to bring it back for people and then they can come forward with it. So yeah, this whole, I had so much fun with the movie characters, by the way. I had so much fun with that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go to the other ones. Collaborative Explorer, who's that?
It's Buddy from Elf, and I want to say he was one of the first one that came in. Isn't it so? Because think about it,
Oh,
the
that's
collaborative
so fun.
explorer. First of all, I can move from the North Pole and move to New York and have no problem with whatever. We often forget about the collaborative explorer that they will take these big leaps
Yeah.
of faith and these big huge risks. So I don't want them to forget that. And then it's I am going to make sure that everybody is around me is so great at the expense to myself.
Yep.
But I have enough chops to never really lose myself, but I have to remind myself of that. Buddy, Elf, Collaborative Explorer.
Ruling Warrior.
Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter series, right? And
I
so,
think
and I
she's
go
the
back to you,
secret weapon. She, like,
secret
Harry can't
weapon.
yeah, Harry can't be who he is without Hermione.
I
Like,
100%. And the ruling warrior is usually the role model and he's usually center stage. But this is what people don't understand about the ruling warrior. They don't have to be. They are
mm,
the most, like, when you jump onto someone's podcast or someone's stage and they're a ruling warrior, they are the most gracious, most generous, most success driven for you just as much as them out of any of the signatures. It's beautiful.
but then they in a moment can throw down.
In the moment, throw down because they have zero tolerance for people that are just being overly humble or dissembling in some way, or let's just say not living up to their own strengths.
Mm, creative superstar.
Claire, I mean, excuse me, Cher from Clueless. I was combining the words. And I'm going back to the original movie. I know that there's been a TV show and all the other things. And so, but I did look at that and just said, yes, they kept the character. So the Cher is you don't know why she's so enchanting. You don't know why she's wearing what she's wearing and what decisions she's made or how she's helping Pismo Beach and all the things, but you're just going to do it because she's doing it. That is exactly the creative superstar.
That is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I love the original movie far better than yeah, like, that's fantastic. So you have the book divided up into a couple different sections. So you have the
Mm-hmm.
breakdown, you have the
Yep.
breakthrough, you have the discovery, the
Mhm.
rebuild, the radiance. That's the end, correct?
Yeah,
Like
that's
like,
the arc.
I'm
Yep.
like, that's the arc, like,
Mhm.
woo! Okay, so what a beautiful tool to have your breakdown, to have your breakthrough, and then go sit with it. And you might have to close the book for a little bit and just kinda let it marinate.
Exactly. I have channeled messages, I have poetry, I in the top of the book, in the back of the book, I this is where I bolted it in, and I bolted it in through intuitive. I bolted it in with the universe. And that's where those channeled messages are, right? So beautiful. That's why I said it's like a whole 360 story arc. And then with the discovery, like the discovery is the longest chapter. Like it's like the longest section. It's like you're going to discover you. You're going to discover things about your cosmic destiny. You're going to discover your signature, of course, but you're going to discover things about your grand vision. You're going to discover things about your free will. You're going to discover things about how to unwind stress and exhaustion and lack, because I'm not just going to start filling you up with things without creating space first, right?
Right.
100%. You can understand things about your intuition. I have a whole section there on how to manifest. And it literally is talking about like the room of mirrors, and it's talking about the tree, and it's talking about like I'm pressing those people that are very business oriented into the intuitive space in that discovery piece. On the rebuild piece, I'm taking that intuitive gift that you just now started wearing and saying, guys, here are the business aspects of things that you want to make sure that you're doing. But it's basically you're taking the tools, like now that you've become superwoman, right? Like you're taking the tools and you're like, okay, here's my golden lasso, here's my golden cuffs, and like, yeah, I'm ready now. Yeah, I'm ready.
I I love that you touched on it's releasing to be able to bring in more.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so important because I think, like, even when I work with clients who are like, "I'm ready to transform. I'm ready for this." Okay, my love, but you're still carrying a 200-pound backpack that you
Yeah,
don't need to be carrying. You
I
don't need to
know.
carry it.
I know.
And how do you dream? How do you jump? How do you cross that bridge? How do you do all these beautiful things when you're carrying a 200-pound backpack that you don't have to carry? So
Yeah.
it's an invitation to put it down and then kinda go, "Woo." Right? I don't
Yeah.
know why I'm seeing this, but I just recently saw that there's this new sanctuary that they're, rescuing elephants from, like, Indonesia who had all the like, their whole lives, they were logging elephants and the chains, and they're showing these videos of taking the chains off, and you just see these elephants who are these strong as elephants, and they you can tell they just move a little differently. You can see even in their feet, and they're just like, "Oh." So, I don't know why I'm elephants in Indonesia,
Yeah,
chains.
so it's so interesting because one of the conversations I had with somebody over the weekend was about elephants. This is why you were
Oh,
tapping into the energy,
okay.
Kelly.
Cheers.
So you might be a little intuitive. And his point was that a baby elephant, if it happens to be, kind of like a stake in the ground, and it's been, somewhat enclosed a little bit, like chained to this, stake, just for whatever reason, and then they literally take the chain off, they take the stake out of the ground. The elephant does not move that far from that point, and it's learned behavior. So you were just talking about that initial release. So this is what happens. Like we have that initial relief, we have that euphoria, we have that space, and then we typically fill it in with the same things that we
With the
just
same
we
thing.
just unlocked, right? So again, when I'm writing the book and I'm allowing it to live in the world, right? It's sure, but it's a process, right? I've allowed it and released it into the world, and other people have to, I kind of thrown the ball in the air, and other people have to catch it. Well, when you catch the ball, you can do whatever you want with the ball, right?
Right.
So I wanted to make sure that this book was invitational enough, accessible enough, but impactful enough that it would withstand resilient changes. And that's where there's statistics, there's facts, there's figures, there's cosmic, there's tools and whatever. All those things are in there. But I'm putting you in the center of it. And my whole desire for this is you remember yourself and the exquisite being that you are, and you make choices based on that versus based on something that's pressing you that isn't yours.
I'm gonna quote some of your words.
Okay.
"This is your time. You're not too late. You're not behind. You're not missing anything. You're simply standing at the doorway of a new frequency of success. and the new era millionaire holds the key.
Oh, I kind of love that.
I kind of do too. Okay, I know we've created a ton of curiosity. How do people get the book? Well, they've been seeing the
They've seen the
banner
banner, right?
scroll and scroll and scroll. Click onto Amazon, just buy it. Like seriously, just buy it. I really want to invite people to take the the quiz. Now I'm channeling, so English is just not coming in well, Kim Woods.
Totally fine. So here's the deal. You get the book, you take the quiz. The quiz is in the book. The quiz has a is a QR code in the book. If you think, well, Amazon, you can go to my website, neweramillionaire.com, and you can look at it and you can see I do have the signatures. I have their playlist through my podcast there, what have you. There's all these beautiful offerings, if you will, not only in the book, but beside the book, because the book wants to be part of something more than itself. It's part of an evolution. It's not a movement, even not of activation. It's more than that. It's an evolution. And so, it's $20. Like, let's be perfectly clear. I don't sell in the book. I'm not trying to get you to do anything in the book. I'm not saying come work with me in the book. Like, I'm not doing any of that. It's read the book. Like, the book is the offering. You are the offering. Like, the book is offering you to yourself.
So, if people get the book and they might be curious to lean in more into Kim Woods' world, how do they do that?
Yeah, well, the best way to do that is to go to kimwoods.com. I mean, there is a QR code to go to that New Era Millionaire page too. So that's really the invitation through the book. Once you take the quiz, there's only a handful of emails that I talk about, I talk about you as a loving alchemist or you as a creative superstar. And I just give you more invitations, and I coordinate it with the book to say, hey, did you hear about this? Or did you see this? Just to give you more of yourself. It's to extend the offering for you. And then, my podcast is really where it's at.
And I love your podcasts because they're short and they're sweet and they're like, hello, lovelies. Like, it's just this great little way to connect with people. And by the way, your audio's tight, like your production
Thank
value's
you.
tight, right?
Thank
Like,
you.
those are little things that they make sense. And you give these beautiful nuggets. So what I want to invite people, and Kim is, of course, I don't have an Edge magazine like right here because I cleaned my
Oh, yeah,
desk,
no, neither do I.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Kim is a regular contributor, print and online. She is our New Era trusted authority because we are in a new era, everybody. You can go like this all you want. You can be like, no, 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 and you can fight it. Great. Just let us know. We're gonna be over here. You can just go over there. She is a beautiful soul. She is a businesswoman. She's a mom. She is a wife. She's just a beautiful guide. And she's so generous with her offerings. And that's why I wanted to jump on today because I'm so proud of this book. I've been hearing about it. I read the first 25 pages. Um, I'm so like I can't wait to listen to your audiobook too because the way that you like have this juicy way of it's I don't know if I've ever admitted to you, but, like, your voice is kinda sexy. You should do, like, voiceover work, like, right? It's just kinda sexy,
You've
it's kinda
never said that
juicy,
to me, no.
I really so I'll do it live on recording, I might as well.
Thank
It's
you.
just, like, really, like I know why you're successfully married. No, it's just right? It's just so I think the audiobook's gonna have a different frequency. I almost see
Yeah.
people buying both because they can have the hard copy, but they can also listen to it with your frequency and just, like, your Kim juiciness. Kim
Yeah,
juiciness.
for now, if you're seeing this before the end of the year, the audiobook's coming at the end of the year.
That's gonna be Ted. That's gonna be
Yeah,
after you've read the book and that, and
right.
then the
No,
audiobook
100%. But for
second
now,
year.
you can match it with the podcast, because I'm talking about the new era in the podcast. I'm talking about things, they're very closely aligned. I'm not over here. I'm a business person. I'm not over here in the podcast and over here in the book. They go whoosh, just like that.
Okay, so we're recording at the end of June because the launch date was the 25th. Kim, before we wrap up, any insight you want to give our audience for July? What's coming down the pipeline in July that you want to give a little bit of a taste?
Yeah, so July, for those of you who do know astrology, you know that Uranus is shifting into Gemini. So, okay. So I went into this in my new moon podcast, which was yesterday. So June 25th for everybody, whenever you're hearing this. And I talked about Uranus and about how people have book boyfriends. He's my cosmic boyfriend. I am enthralled with Uranus. Like, he's so unpredictable and he's such a lightning bolt. I'm an intuitive visionaries, guys. Like, I am infatuated, right? And I actually disclosed that in the podcast on the new moon. And so July, for me personally, I'm a fangirl. I'm fangirling on July because he's moving from Taurus into Gemini. For the rest of the world that doesn't choose to fangirl on Uranus, I would say that things are going to start moving, and you're already knowing it, like moving fast, 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 fast. So it depends on what your tempo is. You know, if you're a wise strategist, loving alchemist, or ruling warrior, you're going to want to make sure you really fortify your core and you get like with your conviction so that you don't go wayward. For we intuitive visionaries, collaborative explorers, and creative superstars, we love dancing with the energy and we love kind of being like all around. We just have to make sure that we don't get too swept up with things and that we actually keep our eye on the prize.
Beautiful. There's a lot going on in the world. I didn't know if I was going to go here, but I'm going to. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot. I'm just going to say there's a lot going on in the world. Mm-hmm. In astrology, with you being dialed in like you are, it's funny.
You can go there. I'm fine.
Right, you are. So I have a son going to college, and Kim has created such great space for me to explore that and to sit with it. And she describes the first year in college, if they stay in the dorms, as like they're like baby adults tucked in, right? I just have this feeling that there's a lot of people that need a little bit of being tucked in.
Yeah.
What would you like to share?
Don't go crazy in your mind. Remember, here's what I want to remind every single person on earth is that when you are looking at news and you are looking at things that pierce the bubble of look at how I misspoke, right? Like, of information that's out there. That is fantastical. That is the most extreme edge of what that information can be. That's all you're hearing. That's all that's out there because it's the only thing piercing the noise. So the media has had to get more extremes to get above the noise. So remind yourself when you're talking to your neighbors and your friends and the people in the grocery store, people are inherently good. Mm-hmm. People are inherently the same. People are trying their best to do the right thing for themselves and their family. That is never going to change, no matter what is in the media. So I'm not saying it's the media's fault. It's the world. It's where we are in the world. It's just become such a noise machine that people are looking to how to pierce it. And it's the clickbait and all the other things. Don't believe everything you read. Don't believe everything you hear. Ask yourself how it really affects you. Ask yourself if it affects you. And if the answer is no, which is 90% of the time, then don't get swept up in it, please. If the answer is yes, it could be 5% of that time or 10% of that time. Ask yourself, what am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? Because is it in my lane? And if it's in your lane, decide what you want to do and do it. If it's not in your lane, maybe you talk to another person and say, hey, this is what's up. Is there anything you can do about that? You can't worry if you're taking action. Just it's physiologically impossible.
And this is why she's the trusted advisor to the new era. I'm going to mic drop on that. And I'm going to thank you, Ms. Kim Woods, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kelly.
Have a fantastic one, everybody.
Are you ready to dive into a world of exploration, enlightenment, and higher consciousness? The Edge Magazine media platform is your ultimate one-stop shop for all things curious. We're a vibrant community of seekers and teachers passionate about sharing our gifts and abilities to help the collective explore, develop, and understand our journey towards higher consciousness. Our website, edgemagazine.net, receives over 10,000 views each month, boasting unique articles, enlightening forecasts, and insightful book reviews. Over 15,000 copies of the Edge magazine are printed every other month and distributed to over 400 locations across the Midwest. Experience a world of opportunities with the Edge magazine. Unleash exposure through enticing print and online ads, Edge Partner Directory membership, and community calendar listings. Share your experience in radio and multimedia interviews, connecting with our diverse community, and join our vibrant events. Connect with like-minded individuals and share your gifts